this is about community. Chinatown's about community, and we are community here. The title of the forum, Reimagining Chinatown, is about imagining what can be more. How do we push this forward, right? From incredible histories and beginnings, how do we push this forward into something that none of us could even dream of, how big, how incredible this could be. So whenever I say the words Chinatown is, I want you to tell me more. Let's try that. Chinatown is?
Tell me more.
Okay, I effed up the instructions. When I say Chinatown is, just say more. Let's try that, okay? Oh, yeah. Now it's clear. This is what my students mean when they're like, you need to give better instructions. Chinatown is?
More.
Chinatown is?
More.
Very good, okay. Chinatown is?
More.
And think about what that means for you. What does more for all of us look like? All of us have a different vision, a different dream of where we can take Chinatown. And like we've talked about this forum, Chinatown is more than just these buildings, more than just brick and mortar, right? It's a spirit, it's an energy, right? So what does Chinatown mean to you, and how does the more-ness of Chinatown, what does that mean to you? So Chinatown is?
More.
How to start in a good way? By bringing all of ourselves, all of our names. What is our role as settlers and guests? How best to honor solidarities of old, the caretakers of this land, our togetherness forged in the mud and the gold. To them we raise our hands. They welcomed us here, to the soil and sand, to the place they call home. On these streets that we stand, to these friendships long past, we move forth hand in hand, still in Chinatown, still on native land. When our ancestors crossed the ocean, from Toisan to San Fran, Guangzhou to Jojake, in their journey to the west, how could they know that signs posted on street corners saying no Chinese or dogs allowed would form the original ghettos? Neighborhoods stuffed into boxes like Chinese takeout, undervalued, overworked, not to be seen, not to be heard, meets a need, our stories blurred. The riots came, our buildings burned, yellow peril like fish in a barrel. Did they know that crossing the sea meant end of the line? Oriental canaries and train tunnels and gold mines with hard heads and stiff spines, stout hearts and strong minds. Did they know that Chinatown could not be contained by city streets or golden gates, urban planning or Asian hate? That the spirit of this place reverberates, lifts our songs on the wind blowing east, carrying stories of our resilience home. This is Chinatown. And Chinatown is?
More.
Chinatown is?
More.
Chinatown is? More than a museum, more than tourist attraction, more than a time capsule, more than family factions, more than an inconvenience, more than a distraction, more than just a developer's dream, but is a call to action. So this is for Chinatown, for mahjong parlors and medicine shops, for wonton soup and jillian pork chops, for the community pillars that were family associations, for our elders and the next generations, for our forefathers and the matriarchs who held them up, for the rice in our bowls, for the tea in our cups. This is for the 85-year-old men smoking cigarettes whose bodies get in the way of gentrification. This is for quietly doing good. This is for long time no see and community land trusts. This is for old memories and new opportunities, for putting down roots both in community and soil, for Tai Chi and Zhengke and deep frying oil, for Chinatown stories, songs, prayers, and spirit. This is for any of us who needs to hear it. Chinatown is. We are here. We live here. This place is alive. So let us put up big fights in little Chinatowns. From Wing On Wo to Wings Noodles, Fantan Alley to Quartier Xinhua, let us remember that we have survived centuries of head tax and exclusion acts, mass lynchings and go-home chinks, luxury condos and hipster bars. So child, when they tell you to go back where you came from, tell them you come from elbow grease and laundry bleach, broken English, French, and MSG. Hunchback elders and paper sons, you come from a history of resistance, backbone and persistence, resilience and commitment. You come from Chinatown. And remember, child, Chinatown always was. Chinatown still is. Thanks, everyone. Yes. Okay, now when I say Chinatown, I want you to just scream out whatever comes to mind. What does it mean to you? Okay, actually, don't scream out whatever comes to mind. Think about it first. You're like, do I need to put that into the universe? If the answer is yes, then scream it out, okay? So, 3, 2, 1, Chinatown is. Yes. Chinatown is.
People.
People. Chinatown is. Community. Love that. Parker asked if I would share a couple more poems tonight, if I may. When I think about what it means to be an immigrant child, I think a lot of us can boil it down. Maybe, well, I can boil it down. I won't speak for you. Maybe you can relate. I can boil it down to 3 things. The first one is silence. The second one is food. And the third one is immigrant parents. So I'm gonna do 2 pieces and then get out of your hair. One is on food and one is on immigrant parents. We'll start with food, because why not? To the girl with the orange Fjallraven backpack who just took a selfie in front of roast ducks hanging in a Chinese restaurant window. I hope the siu ap meets your aesthetic. I hope that you are an influencer and that your post brings 1 billion blessings upon this restaurant. I do not know if their siu ap is any good, but I do know that for every like your post gets, a piece of my great-great-grandfather's ashes reconstitutes itself until he is once again sentient enough to say, in one of the 5 languages he spoke, I did not cross an ocean to come here to become a teenager's photo shoot. I came here to survive. See, for us immigrants, food has always been about survival. You can take an ancestor out of the motherland, but you can never take a mother's cooking out of the ancestor. My grandma went to the grave clutching her bean curd recipes like a rosary. They were all she brought with her from a dusty childhood in India. No one will ever quite use a clay pot like she did. I think of this often. How lonely my grandfather must have been running his greasy Chinese restaurant in small-town Quebec for 50 years, only ever barely scraping by because he couldn't stop handing out free spring rolls. His French was just passable, but his Ik Fu Young, second to none. The only family when he got here was his father and his father's father. Generations of Chinese families split down the middle like steamed pork buns and pushed to the dirty parts of town where only natives and dogs were allowed. From the Myers sprang up Chinatowns, laundromats and lemon chicken. Nowadays reeks of gentrification, bath bomb boutiques and kombucha pop-ups. For us immigrants, food has always been about survival. My family's history severed but then stitched back together through the passing down of soup secrets and whispered spices. I think of this often. Sitting at my northern kitchen, wrapping dumplings of high bush blueberry and caribou meat harvested in a good way. This is not the filling that my grandmother would have used, it's true. But as the diaspora forges our own path, so too must our food. So we have been here long enough to realize we can never be here long enough. So this food, it is a lifeline back to a land that sometimes feels impossible to understand, but still I can taste it. See, food is not just food. For us, it's survival. You make a smoothie bowl, and that is a smoothie bowl. My grandma lifts the lid on her clay pot rice, and that's a story. A map that traces her journey from home and back again. When you opened your artisanal pho shop, all you hipsters, I wonder if your broth is seasoned with the same salt water that brought us the boat people. In my family, food is how we say, I love you. The day after my dad throws a chair at my brother's head, we sit down and pass the rice as if nothing has happened. In English, there is only one word for love, but my mother knows 5 different ways to slice an orange. This doesn't heal trauma, it's true. But for us immigrants, food, well, it's always been about survival. So this is for your fufu. This is for your japchae, for your boiled moose snout, your gorma sabzi, your masala dosa. This is for every kid who's ever been afraid to open the lunchbox in a cafeteria. This time, when they come for our spices, we'll tell them no. So that's food. This is immigrant parents. Now see, she probably won't ever hear this, because the truth is I'm probably too much of an immigrant child to ever let my parents know what I think of them, but still. Dad's got a stack of poems sitting in my notebook, scribed up to him in some closet form of ranting tribute from his youngest son, while his other half, the half that carried me for 9 months before I walked out the womb into the world, who gave up her stomach so I could be C-sectioned onto unceded Coast Salish territory. Well, she has none. See, I've got no answer for anybody who's ever asked me why I haven't written a poem about my mother. Perhaps it's because whenever I think of my mother, I'm forced to think of myself. See my flat nose and curly hair in her reflection, wonder if I will ever learn to love like she does. A woman of faith so devout that she can pray, hours daily. For a husband with an anger issue and 2 sons following in their father's footsteps, can run her mouth like an Instagram all day, no filter. This woman can talk about anything and everything, willingly sharing stories over cups of tea. I saw my dad hit her once. She didn't speak to him for 8 days. It was the least she's ever spoken, and the loudest thing she's ever said. He never hit her again. When we were kids, she used to wake up early, pack us yoksong and seaweed for lunch. Never knew I would toss it as soon as I got to school so I could share my classmates' Pop-Tarts. See, back then, I thought it was because she didn't love me, wouldn't buy me fruit roll-up, Nike Air, Super Nintendo. I thought my mother didn't love me. She, born of escapees from the communist regime, moved to Montreal when she was just 17 and waitressed her way to a bachelor's degree. My mother, who could never pay for cable TV but gladly paid every time I incurred a library fine, she just called a deposit on my art. My mother, who could soothe every tummy ache with Tiger Balm and cure every stuffed nose with Tiger Balm. Now, she used to say she knew me like the back of her hand, so whenever I caught the back of her hand, I learned lessons about myself. When I was 10, I could look her in the eyes. By 15, I was 5 inches over her head. These days, I use her more like an armrest. Our favorite mother-son moments always come over oatmeal cookies and black coffee at McDonald's. She tells me that she's proud of me. Asks me, are you eating enough? Tells me I'm doing good, loving God. Asks me, are you eating enough? She wants grandkids, but only says it sometimes. Asks me if I'm ever gonna get a PhD before she dies. She loves my friends. She hates my tattoos. I only go home once a year, but still our favorite mother-son moments always come over black coffee and oatmeal cookies at McDonald's. And see, maybe one day I'll tell her. Tell her I'm the person I am because of the mother she was and still is, but truth is, she probably won't ever hear this. See, I'm probably too much of an immigrant child to ever let my parents know what I think of them, but still. Dad's got a stack of poems sitting in my notebook, scribed out to him in some closet form of ranting tribute from his youngest son, while his other half, the bedrock of our family, my mother, well, now she's got